what we have done in the last week, and then we go to a very important concept in this week, which is related to the capital market line, CML, and CAPM, capital asset pricing model. It is model of the market. Okay, so let me now recall what we have done in the last week. So let I go in slideshow mode. So last week we are in the discussion of the risky securities, and we have a portfolio of the n risky securities, and we are finding the efficient frontiers, right? So what first we have done, we have taken only two security and try to find the different portfolios by having the weights W1 and W2 assigned to securities in different proportions, right? And we always remember sigma WI is always 1. So the weights of all securities should be equal to 1. So weight can be mostly from 0 to 1, right? If we are not allowing any short selling. If we are allowing short selling, the weight can be greater than 1 or even can be negative, right? So by looking at this, we are arriving at this point where we have find the opportunity set. So this particular graph in the sigma ER plane. So sigma is what standard deviation of my portfolio, and ER is what expected return from my portfolio. So if I plot a risk versus return, actually the risk is described by variance, and the square root of the variance is a standard deviation. So usually we plot ER versus sigma or sigma versus ER, right? So we arrived at this graph, right, which is the plot of the sigma versus ER, which allowing different proportions of the weights in the n risky securities, right? We allow all possible proportions, and we have arrived at this particular graph, and we have this curve, which is the boundary, and inside that we have an opportunity set. So all the points on the boundary of this curve, as well as inside this curvature, which is actually we have seen an hyperbola in the sigma ER space, or it is parabola in if we plot sigma square ER, means if we plot a variance and the mean, then it will be parabola. But if we plot the standard deviation versus the mean, or we can say the expected value, then it will be a hyperbola. So this particular curvature is an hyperbola in this sigma ER plane. Okay, and all the points on this graph along with inside all the points are feasible investment, or we can say feasible portfolios, right? And they represent the opportunity set. Out of that, only one point is MVP, which is minimum variance portfolio, where the variance or risk is minimum, right? You can see the risk is minimum. And we are not interested in all the portfolios, but we are interested in efficient portfolio. And we have seen the definition of the Markowitz efficient portfolio. So what is efficient portfolio? For a given risk, it gives me the maximum return, and for a given return, it gives me the minimum risk. That is the efficient portfolio. So we are in the derivation of the optimum portfolio, and we have gone to this efficient frontier. So out of all the possible opportunity set, only this set points we can say located on the graph from this point E, which corresponds to MVP, minimum variance portfolio, where the variance is minimum up to some point F. We are not allowing short selling here, otherwise it can extend on this graph, right? So all the points on this graph are the efficient frontier. They are the efficient frontier of the opportunity set. So it is subset of the opportunity set. So we have to make our portfolio always on this graph, right? So that's what we have discussed last week. Then we have derived this equation for this efficient portfolio or efficient frontier for this n security case, and we have used the matrix notation, and we have arrived at this very important equation, which is called MVL equation, minimum variance line. So earlier we have derived only MVP, right? We have derived only MVP, minimum variance point, that is this point E, right? We have derived that in case of the two security portfolio. Then we have seen example for 3 security portfolio and extended it to the n security portfolio. So now we are interested in this, all these points range from E to F, and even it can extend the F if we are allowing short selling, right? So by looking at this optimization problem, we have obtained the solution that the portfolio weights given by this vector WP bar is equal to G bar plus ERP into H bar. So see, it is relation between the expected return from portfolio, because portfolio consists of n risky securities. So we always know what is expected return of the portfolio, ERP, which is equal to sigma return of the individual assets or security multiplied by its weight, right? So it is just a multiply and add. So ERP, we know, right? Expected return from portfolio. This G bar and H bar are constant vectors which depends on the covariance matrix sigma, the unit, or you can say the matrix of all ones, and the expectation matrix. Expectation matrix means E bar is consist of the expected return of the individual securities. And we have seen this equation, this G and H depends on this quantity sigma, U and E, along with this constant A, B, C, D, E, A, B, C, D, which we have seen A, B, C, D. When you derive this equation, these constants will come, and they ultimately depends on this U, sigma, and E, where U is vector of all ones, W is weight vector, and E is the expectation vector. It is expectation of the individual and securities, right? So this optimization problem we have solved, and we have seen this equation. And this equation is a linear equation, right? WP bar equal to G bar plus ERP into H bar. And that is called minimum variance line equation in n-dimensional space. Okay, so I hope that you can able to recall. And then after we have derived this particular graph, right? Equation of this particular portion, right? This particular portion. And that we have derived by substituting this WP, which is function of this ERP as well as the constant G and H in this equation sigma P square, which is always WP transpose sigma into WP. And by doing this, we arrived at this equation, and that gives me relation between your sigma P square and ERP. So if we plot in the sigma P square ERP, then it gives me the the parabola. But if I take its under root, it gives me the hyperbola, right? And we have derived is what x given by these points 1 by under root c on the x-axis and a by c on the y-axis by looking at this equation. Also, we have derived the asymptotes to this hyperbola, and the slope of the asymptotes are given by this under root d by c and minus under root d by c, and its center point is this a by c. And we have plotted these two asymptotes of this hyperbola. This all depends on the geometry of this graph. So it is based on the hyperbola equation that you might have studied in your 12th standard, right? We are not going in the geometry, but we use the whatever we required information from it. So this is my efficient portfolio, right? And there is one MVP point, which is global MVP, and all points above this on this graph are my efficient portfolio. We are interested in all points here, which starts from this global MVP and then going upward, right? So that's what we have done. And we have seen one example of this free security case. We have given the expected return, the covariance matrix, and from that also we have given the ERP. This is my expected return. We have formed this portfolio P by finding its weights, WP, the optimum weight, right? What should be the weights in this portfolio which are having this three securities with this expected return and the risk given by this covariance matrix. Okay, and from that we have find this A, B, C, D, and then substituted in G and H, and then equation of WP, and from WP we have substituted that in sigma P square, and we have determined the risk corresponds to this portfolio also. Okay, so this way we can find the optimum weights. So our goal is to find the weights. I want to invest in these three securities. I know is expected return from the past data that we will see practically, right, in the now upcoming experiments. Then also we know the risk matrix given by the covariance matrix. That also we will see how to calculate this risk matrix or covariance matrix from the historical data. And based on these two information and my required expected return from portfolio, I am calculating all the quantities and arrived what is my weight to achieve this goal and what will be the associated risk. Okay. And then we have seen if I want to shift my portfolio from point P to Q with changing my expected return slightly higher, say 1.5% to 2%, my weights would change accordingly, right? And it is a linear equation of the weight versus expected return. So once G and H calculated, we need not to do much calculation. We have to just substitute the ERQ, which is the new portfolio, and then we have the old value of G and H available, which we can use. And you can calculate the new risk value because you know the new weights by substituting in, say, sigma q square equal to WQ transpose into sigma into WQ. Sigma will not change, right? So only WQ will change. So that will change my risk. And we have this Q point here, which expected return higher than previous portfolio. So obviously the risk will be higher. It will be 5.60% now, right? So that particular things you can recall. And then we have seen a two fund separation theorem. It is based on the MVL equation because the MVL equation is a linear equation, right? The relation between the ERP and the weights of the portfolio vector WP bar, right? So it's a linear equation. So if we know two portfolios, we can frame the third portfolio on the efficient frontier, which is the linear combination of these two portfolio. So actually all the portfolio on the efficient frontier are linear combination of the two portfolios on the efficient frontier. So that's we have seen the two fund separation theorem, right? And now we come to the concept of the capital market line, CML, which is very important concept. And then we go to CAPM, capital asset pricing model. Okay, that is very important and used in the modeling of the capital markets. So let me understand what is capital market line first. Now we include the risk-free security along with the risky security. Now you say why? Usually the portfolio contains some bonds also. So that is risk-free security. And even it will not contain, we have to look at what is the risk-free rate in the market. If my risky security gives me return higher than the risk-free security, then only I should invest in the risky security. Otherwise, there is no fun in investing only for sake of the excitement, right? So don't treat this stock market is for fun or it is for excitement, right? Or it is for time pass. If you treat it like that, it will definitely hurt you in the some time frame, right? So it should be studied in a very you can say systematic manner, and it should be handled with very careful, right? Very carefully it should be handled. So for that we have to know what is capital market line by introducing a risk-free security in the portfolio. Okay, and even we do not have risk-free security in portfolio, we have to look what is the risk-free rate going in market. So how to find this risk-free rate? I told you some lectures back to look at the government security rate, GSEC rate in the market when we have discussed the bonds, because governments frequently introduce the bond. Also the corporates are also introducing bonds. So ultimately this yield from the bond or the coupon rate given by the bond, the interest given by the bond depends on this GSEC also. Anyone studied what is GSEC, government security? I want now answer. Because this all depends on your interest and how you relate all this data with this theoretical concept. It's actually involves so many data. So very difficult to study in a one subject, but you should know this concept. I want to know from you. I take a pause of half minute. If you don't know GSEC, you just quickly Google and tell me what is GSEC. Just if anybody can reply.
Yes, sir. I had a look about the security.
Yeah, so please, can you elaborate?
Yeah. Okay. So like whenever the like what do I elaborate? So like what are bonds or like what I saw? Okay, so I basically saw the 10-year bonds and 5-year bonds and all that. I saw the interest rates and how like we can calculate the, what do you say, this basically what is the implied interest rate, how we were calculating based on the coupons and all that. So it turned out to be 6.1%, I guess.
Right. Very good. That's what I want. It is 6.1% now. So you just Google GSEC for India. You will find on websites like Bloomberg also. You will find that on some other private websites also, right? So those who have not done, just Google this GSEC rate for India. And for every country, it is different. For US, it is right now very lower on a very lower slide because their inflation is very lower. While here, our inflation is ranging from 4 to 6% right now. So our GSEC rate is also 6.1% right now. It's very good answer. Yeah, may I know your name?
Niday Pancholi, sir.
Yeah, so very good answer by Niday and good search, right? So I expect all others to also do it, right? So now let me go to the capital market line. So let I move to the next slide. Just wait. It's a slow computer and it is not moving slide. Just wait. I will try to move it. Okay, just a minute. Okay, so I have to reopen it. So let me go to that particular point. Yeah, we were at the capital market line. Okay. So now we introduce a portfolio with one risky security and one risk free. So now we have again two security. One is risk free and another is the risky. Now we know that if we have two security, again we have two weights. W1 say for the risky security and WF. Let we say WF is the weight assigned to the, or W1 and W2. Let we take W1 and W2. The weights assigned to the risk free security, and we know the total weight is equal to 1. So W2 is equal to 1 minus W1. And let RF be the risk free interest rate. So the risk free interest rate is the average interest rate that your risk free security is giving in your portfolio, or if it is not in your portfolio, you must know the GSEC rate. This RF is to be equal to GSEC rate, government security rate, which is right now 6.1%. So on an average, right now the risk free securities are delivering 6.1% return. So you should invest in market at present if your expected return is higher than this only, right? And you are sure your analysis gives you the, you can say, a expectation of return higher than 6.1%. If your analysis tells you that no, this particular portfolio not gives me expected return more than 6.1%, don't invest in it. Invest in government bonds, because that will give you 6.1% without taking any risk. So why should we take a risk? If you are not sure you will get an interest rate or return more than 6.1%, then you should not invest in the market, right? So I hope you understand this concept. So let me take now such two securities which risk-free rate is RF, which may be the risk-free rate in your portfolio, or it may be the GSEC rate, right? So even you do not have bond, you should consider it like it is in your portfolio and replace this RF by the GSEC rate. And now we know the risk associated with the risky asset is there. Let me say sigma 1. But what is the risk associated with the risk-free risk-free security? It is 0. So for the risky asset, the sigma square is greater than 0, but there is a now second security with weight W2, and its risk sigma square is 0 because there is no risk. There is a guarantee. I will get 6.1% definite return. No risk at all. There is no chance that I will get a return less than it, because once the company promised me to pay that coupon, unless and until it will get default, it will pay me, right? And there are less chances of default if you buy a good company bond, or if you buy a government security bond, there is no chance of default. It's sovereign bonds, right? It's sovereign guarantee by government of the India or by any other government in the country, in their respective country. Okay. So let me say it is this. Now, if I have this situation, then my portfolio consists of two securities. One is with risk-free rate RF and another with my expected return, say ER1, with different weights. So I have expected return from this portfolio is 1 minus W1 into RF plus W1 into ER1. See, RF is a deterministic quantity. Now it is not expected. It is not random variable. It is RF fixed. I know its deterministic value 6.1%. Similarly, the variance of these two asset portfolio, now sigma P square is equal to W1 square sigma 1 square plus W2 square sigma 2 square. But what is sigma 2 square? Sigma 2 square is 0. There is no risk with it. So that is also 0, because the risk associated with the risk-free security, we can say sigma 2 or sigma f square is 0. Also the covariance sigma 1f or sigma f1 is 0. There is no covariance between the risky asset and the risk-free asset. The risk-free asset is own fixed return value, so it will not relate it to market. So that's also 0, and that's why we have sigma p square equal to W1 square sigma 1 square. Actually, it was W1 square sigma 1 square plus W2 square sigma 2 square plus twice W1 W2 into sigma 1 2. But sigma 2 is 0 and sigma 1 2, which is here sigma 1f, is also 0. So we have this. Okay. So from this, sigma p is a positive quantity. So let I say sigma p is W1 sigma 1, and I substitute in this equation of ERP. So I have this ERP equal to 1 minus W1 into RF plus W1 into ER1. And if I substitute this W1 equal to sigma P by sigma 1 in this equation, I get a relation between ERP and sigma P, which is now straight line. Earlier, we have a curvature relation between ERP and sigma P. You just recall the efficient frontier when we have N securities, right? And risky securities. Now it is ERP equal to RF, which is constant, plus ER1 minus RF divided by sigma 1 multiplied by sigma P. So ERP and sigma P are variable. RF is fixed. ER1 is my expected return from security 1. Sigma 1 is risk associated with the security 1, right? And sigma P and ERP are the two variables, right? So you can see this relation is now straight line. So if I sketch it on the sigma P ERP plane, I get this graph, sigma P versus ERP. And you can see if I make this sigma P equal to 0, I get ERP equal to RF. Right, my portfolio risk is 0 only if my portfolio contains only risk-free security with rate RF, right? So this is the point where sigma P is 0 and the expected return from portfolio itself is RF because I do not have any risky security. Then if I include the risky security with some proportion by having some weight W1, then my graph is like this. My graph is like this. When it will reach to this point, when sigma P is sigma 1, means I have W1 equal to 1 and W2 equal to 0. So at this particular point, I have only risky security, which is security 1. So in that case, sigma P is sigma 1, which is risk associated with this security 1, and return is equal to ER1, which is expected return of security 1. Now, if I allow further this weight to increase above 1, means I am doing short selling, right? I am doing the short selling, means borrowing. Then I can extend this line beyond it, like we have the curve which extended from the point EF after F, right? So like here, this line can be extended beyond this point if I allow the short selling. We always keep right now the short selling, but practically it is possible. Okay, short selling is slightly complicated to handle. We will see that in the you can say the next upcoming lectures, the short selling in detail when we see the options. Okay, right now we skip it. So I hope this is clear, and this particular equation is called what? It is called capital market line here for the two security case where one is the risk free, one is the risky security. But in general, I do not have only one risky security. The risk-free security can be one, or even if it is multiple, I can say its average return rate is RF, so I can combine it as a one security only, right? Because that is always deterministic, so I can treat all bonds in my portfolio as a one bond, right? And I can mark its return as RF because I know all the quantities are deterministic, okay? So let we have this portfolio with now an risky security. So I want to extend this discussion for a general case of combining any risky portfolio in opportunity set with the risk-free asset. So I have already framed a risky portfolio which is on the opportunity set, which is in the opportunity set, feasible set, right? And now I add the one risk-free asset in this portfolio. So in other words, I am combining the risk-free asset with the risky portfolio, and that will result in a new portfolio, and it should be where we have seen if I have only one risky and one risk-free, it is a straight line. My efficient frontier is on the straight line. Then if I have multiple risky security and only one risk-free security, then also the efficient frontier now should change to a straight line. Now which straight line? So one of the points of the straight line is always here. This point RF on the vertical axis, ERP axis. Why? Because I don't want to take any risk. In that case, I have only the risk-free security in my portfolio. So this one point is always there, which is determined by this RF. And then I want to find the another point. So where the another point, if I have N security, I have to sketch efficient frontier or opportunity set of my N risky security and join this RF with points on this particular efficient frontier graph. Let me look at that in next slide. So you can see that I have done. So this is my graph which we have seen earlier, and this point A, let me say, corresponds to MVP point. And then all others, these are efficient frontiers, right? These all are efficient frontiers where I have investment in my N risky security. And now I have one risk-free security, and it gives me always one point RF to find the new efficient frontier, right? And I will join this RF with the points on this particular curvature, okay? Which is actually hyperbola in my sigma ERP space, okay? So there are different points possible, say A, B, M, like this. Out of this, which line? Because there are infinite lines possible. I can join this RF with any point on efficient frontier. So which will be my new efficient frontier? Can anybody tell me? What is the definition of efficient frontier? For a given risk gives me the maximum return, and for a given return gives me the minimum risk. So if I look at all these lines, only one line which is a tangent to this curve. This is the tangent line. You can see this line pass through this point M. It intersects this curve hyperbola, which is actually the efficient frontier of only n risky security, and it is intersecting with this line determined by the risk-free interest rate at point M, right? And this is the tangency portfolio. So if I join this line and compare with any other line, you can see this particular line gives me the efficient portfolio because it satisfies this Markowitz efficient portfolio condition. Means for a given return, the minimum risk, and for the given risk, the maximum return. You can compare. OK, so this ray, we can say, originating from this point RF, I can say RFMH, right? It can extend it to some point H or beyond it if I allow this short selling, right? So it ray represent the dominant portfolio or my efficient portfolio or efficient frontier in a new case where I have now n risky plus n risk-free security. And now again, if I write the equation for this line, I know the one point which is RF, right? It means sigma is 0, then ER is RF. So one point is known. Let I say the return on this M point is ERM and risk on this point is say sigma M given by standard deviation sigma M. So I write an equation of the line passing through this point, then it gives me ERP, right? That is my dependent variable. ERP is equal to RF plus ERM minus RF divided by sigma M into sigma P. You can verify this equation. It is the equation of line passing through these 2 points, RF and M. OK, and this equation is called the CML equation, capital market line equation. Now this point M is very important, and that is referred to as market portfolio. What is this M point referred to as? It is referred to as market portfolio, and it is replication of overall market. So to know this CML means if I want to invest now in market, I should know the RF, and also I should know what is market portfolio. Now you say what it is. Can anybody tell me what is market portfolio? We know the individual portfolio. I have security in my portfolio, that is individual portfolio. Say another person has the security in his own portfolio, it is his portfolio. What is market portfolio? Can anybody tell me? What is Sensex and Nifty? Can anybody give me what is Sensex and what is Nifty?
Sensex is basically a group of stocks that are used to judge the whole market. Nifty is also the same thing, but one is for Sensex is for BSE and Nifty is for NSE.
Right. How many stocks included in Nifty?
25 and 15 cents.
In Nifty there are 50 stocks and in Sensex there are 30 stocks.
Yeah.
These are top 30 or top 50 on which basis? On market capitalization basis. They are the top large cap 50 or 30. In Sensex there are 30 top 30 large cap stocks which determines one index. It is just a performance measure. It is just a performance measure. So this 30 in Sensex or this 50 Nifty, when we combine them, they are called market portfolio. They are called the market portfolio, right? So when we say market portfolio, it refers to the securities which are there in the index. If I compare my portfolio with the Sensex, then market portfolio is the Sensex. And if I compare it with the Nifty, then market portfolio is the Nifty. And suppose if I have bring the mid-cap companies only, if I have only want to buy mid-cap company only, then there is no point in comparing with Nifty. There are other indices available. You just refer to all these market indices, Nifty mid-cap indices. Anybody know Nifty mid-cap index? You just search on this point. The Sensex and Nifty are also giving you some points. Say today it is Sensex is 57,000, somewhere above 57,000, right? Nifty is somewhere around 17,000. Also, there are other indices like Nifty Mid Cap, Bank Nifty, okay, Nifty Pharma. So if I want to create a portfolio of only mid cap stocks, then I should compare it with the mid cap index, and that should be market portfolio. Okay. If I want to create a portfolio of only pharma stocks, then I should compare it with the Nifty Pharma, right? And that will be my market portfolio. So there is always one market portfolio, right, which is there. So I today gave you one assignment. Go to the NSE India and BSE India site, find out all the indices, Nifty IT, Nifty Pharma, Bank Nifty. There are so many other indices also. Just refer to it, mid cap index, small cap index, right? Just refer to it and just search how these indices are moving and compare their historical data and compare that movement with the Nifty and Sensex. You will find some correlation, but sometimes you will find there is no correlation, and just check it by looking only at the graph in the time domain. Okay. So is it clear what is market portfolio? These are the concept which we need to take it to practical implementation, right? If you understand this, then only you can do systematic portfolio analysis, and to become a portfolio analyst is a very tough job. Okay, so now let me want to find this efficient portfolio with n risky and one risky asset. Means I want to derive the optimum weights, WP bar again. I want to derive the WP bar as a function of ERP. Again, I want to repeat the same optimization problem. So again, my task is to minimize my risk, sigma P square, which is W transpose sigma W, such that there are restrictions. The first restriction is that the total weights equal to 1. Now, what is meaning of total weights? So weights assigned to n risky security plus weight assigned to my risk-free security, it should be equal to 1, because I have now this risk-free security also in my portfolio. Or if it is not, I'm assuming it is in my portfolio, right? Because I will go to market only if I get a return higher than the risk-free return. That is the bottom line. Okay, and that should be remember always when you go in the market. If you get a 1 or 2% return from the market, why we so go to that market? Because we are getting the 6% return without taking any risk. Then why should we go to market? So this analysis is very much essential. I hope you understand. Okay, so we have now the restriction. The total weights is equal to 1. So WT transpose U bar. Earlier it was only WT transpose U bar equal to 1. Now I add one more weight, WF, which is weight of the risk-free security, and this total should be equal to 1. And the expected return is specified ERP, and that is considering this weight of my risk-free security as well as risk-free security rate. So W transpose into expectation vector, which is expectation from security 1 to security n, right? Plus WFRF, this should be equal to ERP. So specifying this to restriction or constraint, I want to minimize this. And if I combine these two conditions by substituting this WF equal to 1 minus W transpose U. So I just substitute this WF in this equation. So the two restrictions becomes only one restriction, and I have framed this constraint, right? You can see it was WF equal to 1 minus W transpose U. So I have to solve this by framing the Lagrangian. I have given you the idea how to solve this optimization problem. I will not solve it again. I have given you once the solution procedure. So Lagrangian is what? L equal to the objective function W transpose sigma W plus one scalar quantity. This is actually bold letter. It should be not bold. It should be a scalar lambda, which is Lagrangian multiplier into the constraint equation with right hand side equal to 0. So if I make right hand side equal to 0, it is ERP minus W transpose E minus 1 minus W transpose U into into RF. Or you can say W transpose E plus 1 minus W transpose U into RF minus ERP, whatever you write, one of the same thing, right? And that is my Lagrangian. Then I will do the partial derivative of this Lagrangian with respect to weight vector. It should be equal to 0, and del L by del lambda 0. It ultimately del L by del lambda returns you only this condition. And if I solve this equation, I find the optimum weight vector WP, which is given by this equation. You just verify. You just try to solve this optimization problem. This procedure already I have introduced, right? It is solution of the optimization problem with constraint. And I get this WP vector equal to sigma inverse E minus RF U bar into ERP minus RF divided by H, where H you will find depending on this parameter B minus twice RF into A plus RF square C, where this capital A, B, C we have already defined in our previous discussion when we have derived this particular WP. I'm going to that slide for only N risky security. So in derivation of this WP for N risky security, we have introduced these parameters A, B, C, which depends on U, sigma, and E. So the same parameters are there here, but ultimately we are interested in the final equation of this WP bar, which will be expressed like this. It is A bar plus ERP into B bar. Earlier it was G bar plus ERP into H bar. Now this A bar and B bar are constant, depends on this E, sigma, U, and RF. And H depends on A, B, C, which are again depending on sigma and U and E, right? So they all are constant. There is a slight complication here compared to the previous case, but you can derive it, right? You can derive it. We are interested in finally this equation. Again, we get this linear relation like MVL. Again, we get the linear relation. This A and B are fixed. So again, we can apply this two-point separation theorem. Again, if we know the two portfolio, we can frame the third portfolio on the efficient frontier. So whether we have only N risky security or N risky plus N risk-free asset, the MVL equation now changed to this CML equation, but the relation between ERP and WP remains this linear, right? Previously it was G and H vector, here the constants. Now it will become A and B to include this RF into equation. Earlier we do not have this RF. If you take this RF 0, it will give you the same thing that we have earlier, right? So we do not worry about this particular A and B, their individual values. We should only know the nature of this equation, right? So whether we hold the risk-free security or not, the equation or relation between WP and ERP is this linear relation. Okay. So here I have given you one example again as an assignment, and you have to solve it yourself. So now we have to refer here to a previous example. So whatever we have solved in the previous example, now I will, my expected return is 1.5%, and I have one risk-free asset in my portfolio which I am adding 0.18%. All other data remain same that we have seen in the previous example, which we have taken here, this example, which we have solved in the last week. So the expected return of this risky security is given, and the risk is given by the covariance matrix. Okay, now expected return is again 1.5%, but I introduce one more security in this portfolio, which is a risk-free security, and the risk-free rate is 0.18%. Okay, and with this I want to find now the new weights of my portfolio, right, of the three risky security as well as that of my risk-free security. So what you do, the covariance matrix and the expectation matrix is same. So you know the ABC, they will remain same because they ultimately depends on sigma and the matrix E, and U is a matrix of 1 only, or vector of 1 only. So that ABC will not change. So now you can calculate this H. So your first task is to find this H. The ABC available from previous example, RF is given in this example. So you can find this H. Once this H is known, what you can do, you can find this A and B, because sigma, E, and U are already known, RF is known. So H is calculated. You can find this A and B, and you can find the equation between WP and ERP. So ERP is given, so you can find WP, which is the weights of my three risky security, and you will surprise that one weight will come here negative. In the previous example, with this same data of the risky security, you can see the weights were positive. All weights were positive. Now here, if I introduce one risk-free security with the same risky portfolio, one weight, say W2, it comes negative. If I know the weights of the risky security, I can calculate WF by subtracting 1 minus summation of all this, and I can find the weight of the risk-free security. This is here. What is meaning of this negative weight here? So let me try to understand it. That means if I want to introduce a risk-free security in my same portfolio and to achieve the same expected return now, what should I do? I should be in a long position in these two security 1 and 3, but I should be in a short position, means I should do short selling. I have introduced short selling in a very brief in the previous lecture. We will go in detail in the subsequent lecture, this short selling. But whenever the weights become negative, I should do this short selling. So I also give this assignment. You just search on this short selling and just search how the short selling is done. Refer to any brokerage website and just study this. OK, how this short selling is done. OK, short selling means I do not have that. I am not possessing that share, but still I am selling it. So that is called short selling. I hope you understand. OK, so I should do one short selling and two long buying. OK, I say two long buying and one short selling. If I want to have this expected return with introduction of the one risk-free asset in my portfolio and the three risky securities which are same as the previous example. And if I do this means if I have this three risky security with this proportion, then I can calculate the risk associated with that sigma p square. Again, WP transpose sigma WP. WP is known, sigma is given to you. So you can calculate this and sigma p will be 4.05%. And now you can compare this. This curve is my earlier efficient frontier, this 1, 2, 3 points and this, right? You can compare this with now new efficient frontier, which is now straight line because I have introduced my risk-free security with risk-free rate 0.18%. So one point is here. Another point is the point which is a tangency portfolio. Here this is market portfolio, M point. OK. My expected return is 1.5%, right? So it is my P point on this straight line, and earlier it was P dash point with the risk 4.27%. Now risk is reduced 4.05% with same expected return. So what my risk-free security has done in my portfolio, it has shifted my point P dash to P. Instead of on this curve, it is now on this straight line. For the same expected return, it has given me the less risk. So by introducing the risk-free security, you are reducing the risk, but keeping the same expected return. But what is change? The change in the weight vector. The proportion of the three security will change. And not only is change, but it said that you should short position in the one security and long position in the two security. Earlier we were in the long position in the three security. And that's how the traders are using this. When to become a short and when to become a long. That's a very important strategy when you are dealing particularly in futures and option, right? That we will see in the last unit. If time permits, we go in detail. But there are too many things to learn in this subject, so we restrict on the fundamental. So I hope you understand this. Is this example clear to all? Any doubt? I am taking 1 minute pause. Then we complete this topic of CML. Is it clear or any doubt? Still, I suggest to read all these slides carefully and solve this example manually. These are very simple linear algebra, but solve it. So you will find, and if you find manually it is difficult to find inverse and other thing, use the MATLAB. Enter the data in MATLAB. MATLAB gives you inverse in a one step, right? MATLAB is for what? It is for our help. So for all this matrix multiplication and calculation stuff, you can use the MATLAB. Any doubt so far? All right. So let me now complete this discussion by deriving the equation for this efficient frontier with risk-free security in my portfolio. So now I want to derive the equation for this. Means I want to derive the relation between ERP and sigma P with n risky security and one risk-free security. So it's very simple now. I know the WP bar, which is given by this linear equation. I know this A and B, which is in terms of the sigma U, RF and H, and H depends on ABC, and ultimately ABC depends on only three things: the E, U vector, right, and the sigma matrix. OK, so if I substitute all this and find the sigma P square, which is WP dash, here it is transpose, WP transpose sigma WP, and substitute this, I will come with this equation. You just try to do this substitution and apply the linear algebra. You will find this will become identity matrix. You can just verify it. This will become the identity matrix and it will left with only this term. I give you again assignment to verify all this using data in MATLAB. And this will be my sigma p square, which is ERP minus RF whole square by H. So I can take square root, so it will be plus or minus. So sigma p is either ERP minus RF by under root H or negative of it, right? Depends on the one condition greater than or another condition less than. And I get these two lines. Depends on this. I get these two lines. It is what? This is my capital market line, right? This is my capital market line for efficient frontier. So out of these two equations, only I am interested in this ray, which is going above this RF, right? And there is a linear relation between ERP and sigma p, which is this ERP equal to RF plus under root H into sigma p. Okay, so that is a very simple relationship, and that is my new efficient portfolio. And if you compare it with my old efficient portfolio, which was this curve, right above this MVP point, it touches it at one point, which is M, and it is a tangency portfolio, market portfolio. It will touch it at this point. So if you invest in market, you get the market return, exactly the market return, and your expected return is also exactly same as the Nifty or Sensex return, right? So that is this. Also from this you can find the weight vector of the securities if you want to invest in the market portfolio. That also I am leaving on you to calculate the weight vectors of all securities if you want to invest in a market. So in that case, you have to substitute WF equal to 0, right? And I assume all my securities, I am possessing all securities that are included in Nifty or Sensex. And what should be the weights of this? That also we can calculate from this particular thing. And again, it will depend only on three things: the U, sigma, and the vector E, right? So E, U, and sigma, these three things will determine this weight, and it will ultimately depends on these three things. Okay, so I hope this is clear. So next lecture we will go to now CAPM, capital asset pricing model. So what we have introduced today is the concept of CML. I just repeat, here we have added first one risk-free security in my risky security, and I have derived an efficient portfolio which will become a straight line with only two security case, right? Then I have extended it to n security, n risky security, and one risk-free security. So it will be again a straight line, but it is a tangent to my previous efficient frontier, right? It will touch this previous to point M. And what is that point M? It is a market portfolio. It is replicate the overall market, right? It is replicate the overall market. All right. Then we have solved this optimization problem, means what should be my weights in the risky security WP bar with this situation. So I have solved the same optimization problem with a different restriction than the previous one, and I arrived at the equation WP bar is linearly related to ERP, right? It is linearly related to the ERP like MVL equation we have in the risky security case. Then I have tried to find the sigma p square by substituting WP bar, which is optimum weight, in this, and I arrived at relation between sigma p and ERP, which is, as my expectation, it is a straight line, right? So here all relations are straight line, whether it's a weight versus ERP or sigma p versus ERP, both are straight line. While in previous case where we have only risky security, the relation between sigma p and ERP was the curvature, hyperbola. Okay, so that's the difference, and that equations we have determined. It's very simple linear algebra and geometry. So go through all these points, right? And this M point is very important, this tangency portfolio. If you want to create the efficient portfolio only by replicating the market, it is possible. You have to just determine the weights of the different 50 security of Nifty or 30 security in Sensex, and just invest in that 30 or 50 security with weights given by this equation. Okay, so you will replicate the market in your own, and your return will proportional directly. It is same as your market return. If your Sensex rises, your portfolio rises, right? If it will fall, your portfolio will fall. You will get the same return, and you have the same risk as the market risk. Is it clear? This concept is very important. It will be more clear when we see the MATLAB implementation. But we are lagging in syllabus because it's a very different subject. So I am taking some time to understand this, to make you understand this theoretical things. So still, if you have any doubt, you can ask me. Next lecture, I will go to CAPM. Meanwhile, I unshare and stop recording.